Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Fletcher Wimbush, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks for having me, John.
It is a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Southern California. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about how AI is revolutionizing talent acquisition. Of course, AI is revolutionizing a lot of things. It's disrupting the nature of work and a lot of different industries, a lot of different types of jobs and tasks that people are doing. Automation, of course, is disrupting a lot of things, but we're going to focus in on HR generally, but talent acquisition within HR more specifically today, and try to get a handle on really what these disruptions are looking like and how we can leverage AI as a tool to make talent acquisition more effective, more efficient, and just so we can do this better. I know a lot of people out there are scared about, AI displacing workers and displacing their jobs. I'm personally, I hold the belief that while there could be some displacement, AI is more likely to displace tasks rather than whole jobs or whole careers. And so we should be looking at it as a tool, as a resource to enhance what we're doing to make us better at our jobs. And the surefire way for us to become obsolete and displaced is to not learn how to use the tool, but if we learn how to use it, then we'll be an asset to our organizations, and we'll be able to add a lot of value. So anyways, we're going to explore this, talk about how to leverage it, and I'm excited to have that conversation. As we get started, I wanted to share Fletcher's bio with everybody. With a record of assisting more than 2,000 companies win and hire at conducting over 10,000 candidate interviews, Fletcher Wimbush is at the forefront of solving the complex hiring challenges that businesses face today. Fletcher is revolutionizing hiring practices through executive education, advanced hiring software solutions, and bespoke fractional talent acquisition services. There's a whole lot more I could say, especially about your background, but I'm going to pause there. Fletcher, anything you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context before we dive on it?
No, I think I do what I love. This is the best job in the world. I've been passionate about talent acquisition and building teams, and in the concept of who you invite to be on your team as being one of the most powerful drivers of business results. I'll argue with any coach, business leader out there that hiring is literally the most important function in any business.
Well, right. Was it Jim Collins who used the analogy of the bus? You need to get
Yeah.
the right people on the right seats on the bus. And if you can't do that, all of the strategy, all of the other stuff, all of the time and energy you put into all of the other things isn't really going to matter because you're not going to have the right people. And at the end of the day, it's the people, it's the human beings in the organization that add value, that have the
Yeah.
creativity, that bring the innovation, that bring value to the market, to bring in customers, to
Yeah.
bring in revenue,
Yeah.
right? And
I'll,
so,
and
so
I'll give
yeah,
you a few examples I think are
yeah.
modern ones. So if you
Hmm.
haven't checked it out, Brian Chesky did a 1 hour talk and it's on YouTube about founder mode. If you guys
Hmm.
talked about founder mode, maybe here on this podcast, I hope. But he was taking that on the talent acquisition front. And so he's the founder of Airbnb, so
Yeah.
super tech forward, business. And he's like, look, I think every founder should be fairly heavily involved in the first 400 hires within an organization. This is not
Hmm.
something we leave to frontline managers and HR. You take that even further with some of these other tech guys out there. They don't even have HR departments. They have recruiters, talent acquisition people. That's different. But
Yeah.
HR, they outsource and they hire attorneys to deal with outside of their organization, right? It's so important to laser focus on that component of it, right? So yeah, I just wanted to the last thing I think you mentioned is, do you know how much they pay engineers at OpenAI, ChatGPT? You want
I
to just take a
don't, probably
wild
a
guess?
lot.
Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess.
400,000,
Higher,
600,000,
higher,
800,000,
higher.
1.2 million.
Oh, look, it's around $1 million a year. So the company who's one of the four or leaders in, automating the world with AI is paying
Yeah.
their people $1 million a year. People are the most valuable asset any company has.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay. So, and I completely agree. I think we absolutely need to invest in the human asset, the human capital of our organizations. And I think most people listening, most organizational leaders, at least on the surface level, will say, yeah, human capital is important and we value our people, and they'll at least say those things. But, what organizations actually do, not just say, but what they actually do often doesn't
Yeah. A lie.
it's not a line. Yeah, there's no alignment there. The values aren't consistent, with what they're saying. What their actions actually are consistent. And so, if all your budget is going other directions, if you have a below market, total compensation strategy, that's not in alignment with that value, right?
Yeah.
If you're constantly looking to squeeze every last ounce of productivity out of your employees, and you don't have pro employee kind of policies and practices, and all these different things, then your values aren't in alignment with that, what we were just talking about. And so, I think a lot of people will say, yes, we're all about our people, but they're not, because the organization is not set up that way. And so we just really need to take a good hard look at what we're actually valuing. And that starts from the very beginning, crafting, job postings, going
Well,
out and recruiting,
it
bringing
start
people in.
it starts before then, right? With like Culture Pulse, or
Yeah.
we have a couple great partners. Rippling is a good one, and they do a lot of employee surveys, and it's a lot about sentiment around there. You can think about ENPS scores, Employer
Yeah.
Net Promoter Score is a really simple one, but it starts there, right? Like how do the people in your organization actually define your culture? And be willing to like find out and hear the scary truth, right?
Yeah.
And that it all starts there, and you can't change these things overnight. You can't just flip a light switch and all of a sudden solve some of those problems, but you can look for the good, and you can then set aspirational goals, and that can be part of how you market market your employer value proposition. It might be, hey, we are here, and here are the good things, and here are the challenging things, and here is what we've set out, and here are the steps we're going to take, and guess what, you get to be part of it.
Hmm.
We're hiring you to help us achieve these things. And that's exciting for A players, frankly. When I was a young leader, I think I was 26-ish. I can't remember now, so I'm getting old. But I was hired in to take over a branch for a large family owned and operated commercial dish machine company. They have
Mm.
2,000 employees, 100 business units, locations, operations. And I took over this branch in Orange County, and they were pretty forthcoming with me, like, this branch has been like in the bottom 10th percentile of all our
Mm.
business units for a long time. We've had a lot of turnover, the leadership hasn't been working well, this is just not working in a market that should be amazing for serving the hospitality industry. Plenty of
Right.
money here in Southern Orange County and lots of great successful restaurants. um, and I was intrigued by that. Like, I was like, bring it on. I want that challenge as a leader. And we turned it into one of the top three performing business units in the entire country. And 15 or 20 of those people that were on my team through my tenure are still there in various different leadership roles, including some of the top leadership roles in the organization 15, 16 years later.
Yeah, yeah, it's stories like that are really cool. And you mentioned something that I think is worth highlighting. A players love that, right? They love that challenge. They love that kind of an environment. They love that kind of a culture, that opportunity. Um, C players don't,
Yeah,
right? They
exactly.
they
That's
they
too
get there.
hard.
It's hard. It's super uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and they will not stick around in that kind of an environment. And which is all the more reason why we want to identify and find the right people and bring in the right people. But it's also the opposite is also true. If you weren't able to turn that around, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to attract and keep A players either, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
A players don't want to be there. They don't want to
Yeah.
be in that environment. So while you were brought in and you were able, you see that as a challenge and you're excited by it, um, and they were able to get you because of that, you're not able to like keep good people or attract new good people if you're not able to start to turn things
To show some
around.
momentum and show
Yeah.
positive, yeah, direction there. And so I had very supportive leadership. So like as you mentioned before, this isn't just about we say this. They meant it. We're bringing you in to help solve this problem, but we're also going to surround you and give you all the resources and all the support. And they had, I had leaders in the organizations who did a great job of mentoring and helping and giving me grace
Yeah.
in that process because it was brutally hard, in the first
Yeah.
couple of years, and I made mistakes, and I think I had some HR conversations. They're like, "What are you doing, man?" you know, but they could have just fired me on the spot, I suppose, right? This is like the football team, NFL team that fires their coach every couple of years because they didn't get to the playoffs, but they didn't give the guy a chance to keep building on the positive momentum because he made one mistake or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've really established, how important this is, talent acquisition generally, right? So important. We need good people. We need the right people. And so this has always been an important function for any organization, and especially for startups, for scaling organizations, for innovative organizations. We it's just completely essential that we bring in great people. We're in a day and an age where we have I mean, the world is crazy. The world is complex. So so it's more important than ever that we have, good people who are agile, ready to adapt and take on the challenges around them. But we have all this technological disruption, and part of that technological disruption is generative AI, and we have all of this, shifting within, what does work, the nature of work even look like? What do our jobs look like? Task displacement, automation. So many of the things that we used to do can be automated or augmented, and we can do things so much faster. Where do you see AI coming in to help with the talent acquisition function,
Yeah.
to help us do it better, to help us be more productive, more efficient, and just yeah, just better in
Yeah.
what we do?
Well, I think in the next 10 years, some hiring activities will be completely automated by AI.
Hmm.
And I was having this conversation on LinkedIn this morning. Somebody asked, well, like, really? I was like, yeah, really. Now the reality is you have roles like right now, you already have organizations that are leaning heavily on staffing agencies and low paid talent acquisition folks that are, very
Yeah,
green in their careers. And you're really not all that, don't have a lot of expertise. They're really just kind of pushing paper, making like basic calls, just like, hey, are
yeah,
you interested in the job? Will you come in? Can I schedule you an appointment? Here's some basic information. I'll send you a flyer or like a link to a page or a video, and then, asking maybe some scripted questions, hopefully asking some scripted questions and then checking some boxes and then making a decision. So you have, and then you have frontline managers, the same thing. They're not really well trained or educated on best selection practices. They're just trying to do their job. They're just like, yes, you got a pulse. You're willing to do this. You seem nice. I don't dislike you. So I'm going to hire
yeah, yeah, yeah,
a lot of roles. I don't dislike you, therefore I'll hire you is like the criteria. So roles like that, I mean, automatically today we can automate that hire right now. Right now,
yeah,
as it is, the technology allows us to automate that. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to be an advocate for that. I'm just trying to punctuate a point here. Now, I think in that kind of scenario, AI can do a better job of engaging the candidate, making that experience better for them, providing them content, materials, answering their questions, getting to know them, and definitely doing a better job of assessing them. AI is significantly less biased than the humans are in this situation. And In fact, we're co-publishing a scientific journal article with Virginia Tech. This will be out very soon on this
Mm,
exact subject of how much better AI is at doing this than humans are. Unfortunately, that's the sad fact. So then you have the roles that are a little more, yeah, we can take some generic skill sets, but we also have some specific areas of expertise. AI can do a really good job of matching those people with the right job and nurturing them through a hiring process. And then you have your hyper specific skill sets, which is basically means you're prospecting for these people
yeah.
like you would a new customer, right? I need to hire a tax accountant in Toledo, Ohio. Well, you know what? Guess what? There's like 30 of them. And how are you going to go find them? Well, basic prospecting techniques is how you do that. AI can do all that stuff for you now. And then it can even deliver your cold message. Hey, John, I love your background. You can say this exactly like what a recruiter would say, right? I love your background. You can see, you're a really talented tax professional. Like, I don't know if you'd be open, but I'd love to schedule a cup of coffee with you and our partner, Fletcher, to talk more about,
Hmm.
life as a CPA here in Toledo, right?
Hmm.
And then hand that off, schedule it for the partner and the two. And then, yes, then now a human takes over in situations like that. So it's sort of augmented automation, but much more humanistic versus right now we're using templated emails and in-mails and voicemail drops and text messages and things that recruiters are doing, but it's hard to personalize those, right?
Well, yeah, and talk about, I mean, just the time, that recruiters are spending doing all of that versus, automating that. I mean,
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
And it takes a lot of time to get a recruiter when you, especially when you're dealing with those higher level, more sophisticated, nuanced roles that I need a R&D tax person or I need a salt person. I mean, you can't take some recruiter $40,000 a year straight out of college and explain that to them. Like they don't get it. They don't understand what that role does and the nuance of it and why that role is different than this other tax role, right? They don't have that life experience or that work experience.
Hmm.
So, this gets junior people up to speed faster. It helps more advanced recruiters do this quicker. But advanced recruiters spend a lot of time doing this stuff where they could be doing something else, like talking to the candidate.
Yeah. Which is so much more valuable, right?
Yeah,
That's where you're really gonna develop the relationships, where you're
yeah,
really gonna be able to grab people, right? Where
yeah.
you're going to increase the chances of getting really great people, and when you're
Improves the
talking.
experience for both parties, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and like you said, the technology is already definitely good enough to do kind of the low level work, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
We can already do that. Whether or not, companies are going to fully lean into and embrace that today, that's unlikely. But certainly companies are leaning into to leveraging AI in a lot of ways. And we see companies experimenting with that constantly, right? All the
Yeah,
time right
yeah.
now. What it tends to look like is, you have an opening, someone leaves, some sort of attrition. And instead of replacing that person, you have a 5-person team. Now they're down to 4. Let's just absorb that role and use AI, to kind of fill in the
Augment.
gap,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah,
often
I, I
happening.
I'm not here to speculate what's going to happen, and from what I've seen, nobody knows. Even all these really smart people, we're all just like hanging onto our hats to see what's gonna happen. We're banking on the fact that every major technological evolution has just created different jobs and new jobs, and
Right.
we've
Yeah.
been at the invention of the wheel, gas, car, the internet in the 90s, all these things, everything just, we figured out new ways to work and new things to do with ourselves. And, we're all still, in fact, at full employment and have been for an extremely long time, other than a little blip during COVID. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah. What are some of as things continue to progress, beyond some of these lower end tasks that can happen today? You talked about in the near future some of even kind of the higher level aspects that can free then recruiters to do the more human elements, develop the relationships. What do you see, even a little bit further out? That maybe AI can really assist in augmenting and helping and transforming this function.
Well, I'll be really interested to see how the avatar plays into this. So if I can have an avatar of
Mm,
myself and I can interact with the candidate and give them more time and attention than I can give them today
yeah,
as a manager or as a recruiter, so as a manager, I mean that's one of the biggest challenges. Hiring managers just don't make enough time to spend
yeah,
with
yeah,
their potential hires. And they really should. And so if you're a hiring manager and you're listening to this, spend 3 or 4 times as much time with that candidate in the hiring process than you do today. That's it. Just triple or quadruple the amount of time, and you'll be more successful in your hiring decisions, and you'll and the quality of hire that you have, and the experience, improve the experience of those high quality hires along the way. But that's kind of a simple way of oversimplified way of thinking about it. But yeah, I think avatars, things like that. But talent assessment is going to be a big one. Like with AI, we're already able to now create hyper specific customized assessments like core value assessments, or like I created blockchain assessment. They don't exist because assessment creators, guys like me, don't we're not going to create a test for something like that because there's no large commercial market for it, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but now I can create that for you right now. Like in an hour, I can deliver you a test that is so hyper specific to the behavioral attributes, the skills, the abilities that I need my next hire to have. And now it's a way more customized experience, which is a better experience for the candidate, which is going to give me better data about my talent pools and help me make better hiring decisions. And then those assessments are going to become a lot more, not only just like this Q&A, multiple choice, right, wrong, varying degrees type of things, but they're going to also become a lot more conversational too. So I'm going to be able to walk you through, like, Jonathan, help me understand where you would place this HVAC unit on this building, and let's have a little conversation about that. And I'd be collecting skill and ability based information from you in this dialogue, right? So I don't know, there's gonna be a lot of crazy and fun, interesting things that I think, again, as we move forward with this, the goal is to improve the candidate experience exponentially while delivering a better outcome for both parties. So a bad hire is bad for the person who gets the job, and it's bad
yeah.
for the organization who makes the hire.
Yeah, the candidate experience, as a more holistic piece, as a piece of a more holistic, employee experience once they're brought in, like that's so essential. It's part of the whole uh, experience around developing the culture that then allows you to attract even more
It,
good people,
yep.
right?
Yep.
That becomes part of the whole ecosystem in
And the
which,
outcome of the hire. If I have a bad experience in the hiring process, I might be an A player, but I also might put you, my employer, on a short leash. And I'm going to get
right?
45 days in. And if it continues to be a kind of mediocre to poor experience, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to pull the cord on this for you, employer, because this is not going the way I want. And I just had this happen with a really talented tax professional. Yeah, she was like 90 days in, and she's like, I'm not doing this. I'm out.
Right. Because
And
the,
that
the really
company,
the really good people have choices.
yeah, that company she just that hired them, and and she just left, is reeling. They're screwed. They are literally, like buried now.
Yeah, yeah. The really good people always have choices,
Yeah,
always, no matter how tight the market is. And they talk. They're going to talk to other people. They're going to share their experiences, and that's going to make it, either easier or harder to hire good people the next time around that you have
yeah,
open
yep.
positions. And so all of this
Well,
matters.
employee referrals are the number one source of your best quality hire. So if you've created a culture of like hiring great people and making this a great place to work, people will be lining up at your door. This is true. It's a fact. There are endless numbers of examples of this. We've seen this in construction. We've seen this in manufacturing. We've seen this in professional services. So, if you do these things, you can achieve that. You can become the employer of choice where people are lined up, which that gives you the option to choose the best of the best, not the best of the worst, which is what unfortunately too many employers are doing these days. And so, it is not just an aspirational thing. If you are serious about this, you can achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fletcher, thank you so much. This has just been a really great conversation. I know at the time and I need to let you run, but before we wrap things up, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you and find out more about your work, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah. So I'm pretty easy to find. I was blessed with a very unique name, Fletcher Wimbush. You can Google me. I'll come up on I don't know, the first 20, 50 pages of Google. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out. So connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a note. Also, discovered.ai. So once again, discovered, your best new hire, and .ai. You can check out our hiring platform there and you can reach out to us there. And then I'll leave you guys with our full hiring GPT, which will walk you through everything you need from writing job descriptions, job analysis, job advertisements, social media marketing, creating recruitment marketing videos, creating custom assessments, structured interview, candidate scorecards, onboarding, you name it, everything you need to be successful at hiring. That's a free tool that I'll leave with you. I'll leave with you guys with the fact-driven hiring system, a free 8-hour course. If you're an HR professional, you'll get continuing education credits for buying that or getting it for free in this case. And lastly, Jonathan will give you guys, if you and anybody in your world is interested in taking DISC assessments, will give you a tool that you can share that with and maybe have a fun, cocktail party conversation around.
Awesome. Awesome. Fletcher, thank you so much. It's just been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Fletcher can do for you. Check out all the great resources. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.